Hi, I'm Jonathan Hood, creator of Bleak the Rechargeable Dog, and you are watching Mr. Media.
Today on Mr. Media, I'll talk to cartoonist Mark Anderson, the man behind the syndicated comics service, Andertoons.com. Stick around. With any luck, he'll turn me into a toon, and pretty soon I'll be running around with Roger Rabbit. Today's episode of Mr. Media Interviews is brought to you by GoDaddy.com. You know GoDaddy.com from their wild and sexy commercials, but isn't it time you actually test drove their web hosting and domain registration services yourself? For a limited time, Mr. Media listeners can save 10% on the already low price of web hosting services at GoDaddy.com by entering the promo code POD4 at checkout. Again, that's 10% off web hosting when you go to GoDaddy.com and enter the promo code POD4, that's P-O-D, the number 4, at checkout. Mr. Media is recorded live before a studio audience of one-shot cartoon characters just begging Mark Anderson for another shot at fame, or at least infamy, in the new media capital of the world, St. Petersburg, Florida. I don't know cartoonist Mark Anderson. Well, not yet anyway, but I completely get him. Now, his burning desire since graduating college in, I believe, 1997 has been to be a cartoonist. Unfortunately, he hit the market just before the traditional print publishing business fell, jumped, leaped, was pushed off the cliff. And within a few short years of Anderson's arrival on the professional scene, the newspaper and magazine opportunities for selling his wares went the way of Thelma and Louise. I love video, don't you? But but Anderson was driven to find a way. He worked a day job to pay the bills and spent his pre-dawn and late-night hours drawing comics for whatever customers he could find. Magazines and newspapers, sure, but also greeting card companies, trade publications, corporations, and websites. Now, I get Mr. Anderson because I've taken a similar route as a freelance writer. I've always wanted to write, but never limited myself to just pursuing magazine and newspaper assignments. I kept an open mind on things like corporate and annual reports, scriptwriting, copywriting, advertising, all of which eventually led me to writing books and Mr. Media. So today, Anderson has broadened his horizons and his Andertoons.com website to include a subscription model for businesses that see humor as another way into their customers' heart. Maybe their hearts of darkness, I don't know, but their hearts wherever they may be. And Mark Anderson, welcome to Mr. Media.
Hi, how are you?
Hi! That's good.
Thank you for having me. This is fun.
It's a pleasure, and then the video lends itself. We can see that you're enthusiastic. You're not rolling your eyes at the introduction going, "Oh God, why did I agree to do this?"
No, that comes later.
Yeah. That will be later. I, and I'm not saying who, but I recently finished an interview with a guy, and just as we were saying goodbye, and I was clicking off the recording. He thought we had hung up already. And went, Jesus! I was just like, wow. If only,
Really?
yeah, really. If only he knew that I got that. Now I did cut it out on the video, but I thought, wow. I think
That's awesome.
I gotta rethink whatever I said to him.
That's fun.
So tell me, did I overstate your commitment to making cartooning kind of work economically for you and your family?
No, you didn't know. That's my job. I mean, that's what I've always. Well, I started out wanting to be a musician. I went to college actually and got a music degree. I'm a trombonist, and I thought I could make a go of that, but I moved out to Chicago and married my wife and got a job. And man, boy, making a living, and playing trombone, that just wasn't going to go anywhere.
It's all your wife's fault. You know that.
I'm sorry.
It's all your wife's fault that it all
It's
turned out this way.
totally her fault. So it just wasn't going to work. And I thought, but I still need this creative outlet. And so my wife said, you always wanted to draw cartoons, and I've always drawn. She's like, why don't you give it a try? So I thought, okay. So I drew up a couple of cartoons and started. I had no idea what I was doing. I just started drawing things and like photocopying them and sending them out to magazines. And they were really bad. They were bad, and they were terrible ideas. I sent something out to. I did a cartoon about something with a wolf or a coyote, and his leg is stuck in like a trap, like one of those bear traps, and something about gnawing his leg off. It was really early stuff, and I sent it to like the ASPCA because I had seen like this magazine, this book, like cartoon markets, and so I thought, oh, perfect, it's animals. I'll send it to them. Why would I do?
Oh my God.
They were like, this isn't the correct cartoon for us. Thank you for submitting. But after, I read everything I could possibly read on cartoon. Every library in like the tri-state area, every cartoon book I could get a hold of on just collections of cartoons, how to make it as an artist, anything. And after a couple of months, I actually sold a few to some small markets. And after you get a check for like drawing a funny picture, and that's the greatest job in the world. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
Listen. As I said in the introduction, without even knowing you, I get this completely. I actually sold my first article. I was, I want to say maybe 13 or 14. And,
Really?
yeah, and it was a story on collecting comic books, which is what I was interested in then. And
that's cool.
it's something called the Tri-State Trader. I think it was Indiana, Illinois, and some adjacent state. I don't know my geography very well. And
Okay.
I remember coming home one day. You send it off, and at that time, everything was through the mail. You never talked to a person.
Yeah.
And I came home from school one day, and this girl I like, this beautiful Vietnamese girl, and this was in the 70s. So that was
girl.
Yeah. So that was very exotic. And Mary Ann, and I guess she had walked home with me that day. I'm trying to remember, but I go to the mailbox and to bring the mail in, and I look at the mail and I go, wow, I got something from the Tri-State Trader, and I'm looking through the little cellophane, and it looks like a check. And look, I guess this is what changed my life. I've never really thought about it until just now. I opened it up, and she saw that I got paid like $25 or $30 for writing something. And I'm like 13, 14, and she thought that was very cool.
That's huge.
Yeah, so I mean, I get that. You get that first check, you're rewarded for doing something that you really like, and it
Totally.
feels good, and you're off.
Oh, it's amazing. That first sale,
How much was it?
$25.
There you go.
$25. I sold my first one. I sold was to the Funny Times. I think they're in Ohio.
Oh yeah, I know that paper.
And oh man, and it was the best first sale because all that publication is cartoons and humor. And so I thought, not only if I sold, and I think then it was $20, but it was like I sold the Funny Times. It's nothing but cartoons.
Right.
Like the competition, I thought was like, I've made it. I am fantastic. Look at me.
Best $20 you ever made, I bet.
Oh boy. Oh, it was fantastic. But the work, I had to wait for it to be published. Like they sent me the little contract saying that they had bought it, but I didn't know. I had no idea how things work. So I'm like, next issue, it's going to be there. And I get the next issue, it's totally not there. I'm like, what the? This? Oh. And so I was like, when are you going to publish it? And they're like, we don't know. What are you talking about? And it took a couple of months. And finally, it was like 3-4 months. My wife called me at work, and she's like, "Guess what I'm holding? It's your cartoon." I was like, "Oh!" So that's a great that first check, but actually seeing your stuff in print, is the best. That is the craziest thing to see. Like that's me.
Yep.
That's it right there.
And how long till you sold the second one?
You know what? After that, they started to go. I started selling like once a month, something like that. the best was about 6 months in, and I sold my first cartoon to Reader's Digest,
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
which was unbelievable. I was at work and I called like to check my messages because I was bored, just out of my gourd at work. I was like, well, let's see if anybody sent me any messages. And so there's this message from Reader's Digest. I'm like, no. They're like, we'd like to buy your cartoon. And I was like,
Wow.
no, that. And so I like checked it. Like, no, that's wow. And like, so the whole day I was like, I didn't get any work done. I was supposed to be like invoicing and sending things out, and there's just like me sitting in my cubicle. Woo-hoo. But you can't tell anybody because I'm not supposed to be checking my voicemail at work.
Right,
It's not
right.
like I can go to, hey Bob, look what I did.
And what was the job at the time?
I had some doozies. I sold screws.
I read
to
that,
start.
yeah.
I sold metal coil, big, 30,000 pound things of aluminum, huge metal coil. And I also sold advertising for an online car, like advertising thing. It was the hardest sales job because I had to sell to used car dealers.
Oof.
I had to sell a product to used car dealers. These guys are like, like sales samurais. They know everything.
Yeah.
There's no way I'd be like, hi, Tom. They'd be like, no. Come on, man. I just said hi. And they're like, I know what you're up to. We're not buying. So it was a real joy to finally leave that job behind and draw full time. That's the greatest.
And Mark, I'm just curious, how did you know that you were funny? I mean, were you funny? Did people think you were funny?
Well, I don't know if you can tell by my matinee idol good looks, but I'm not. I had to be funny. I'm not that attractive. If I wanted, any time with any, young ladies growing up, I had to be the funny guy. That was my thing.
Preaching to the choir, my friend.
So, my family was always funny, and I just loved listening to like my sister's George Carlin records growing up, which I should not have probably been listening to, but I sort of took them anyway. Those became mine.
Yeah.
My mom's Bill Cosby records. I would stay up late and watch like Johnny Carson's monologue, and I would tape record the David Letterman show and Saturday Night Live. I had a little timer, and I had it set up with my cassette recorder in my room, and I was just fascinated with how jokes worked, and just analyzing them. And I would, I could probably still do most of George Carlin's records that I had growing up, verbatim. And just how the timing worked and the wordplay and how things fit together. And it just fascinated me. And then once once you get that first laugh at like school, if you're in algebra or study hall or whatever, when you get that first big laugh, especially from a teacher, when you get a teacher to laugh, that's gold. I mean, how do you not love that? So it's just one of those things that always fascinated me. And just translating that like into cartooning was a whole different thing, because talking and being funny is one thing, but writing and being funny is a whole different discipline. So that it took a little bit to figure out how to do that, but long answer to a short question. I don't know. I guess I've always liked being funny. I always liked being the funny guy.
And did you find it was difficult to make the transition to being funny in like single panels?
I was not good. I tried multiple panels. I tried to sell a couple of comic strips, and I got very nice responses. I forget, there was a guy at King Feature, Jay Kennedy.
Oh, sure.
Sent me
the legend, nice. The legendary Jay Kennedy.
I know. He was great, and he actually sent me back my stuff and rejected it, but took the time to write me a note saying, and it was something about like, your art isn't very good, but your writing is good, and that's rarer. So you're a good writer. Maybe you should team up with somebody. But multiple panels didn't work for me for some reason. I don't know why, and I've tried it since. It's not my favorite thing to do. But those little single panels with like a little one sentence, or even better, just a few words. For some reason, that resonates with me, and I'm able to do that.
Yeah, it's quite a skill. I mean, we know, that the number of people that can do a single panel versus three panel, it's a very different world.
Yeah, it's a whole different set of muscles. I
Yeah.
don't. I totally wish that I could do multiple panels, and I can, but it's not my favorite, and I'm not as good at it. You sort of see the seams there. You see where I'm constructing a joke. It's not as natural for me.
Well, I want to point out to folks that you have in your right hand a black marker.
I do.
It's not that you are inseparable from it. It's that it's that I had asked you if maybe while we were talking, if maybe you could sketch something out for us.
Sure.
So, since you keep showing us the marker, I'll take that as a sign that you would like to be sketching as well as talking.
I didn't even realize it's just on my desk, and I was like, I need something in my hands to do while I'm talking, so it just happened to end up there. Plus, it smells really nice.
Oh yeah.
Woo! This interview
No,
is
no,
gonna
no,
get really
no, kids, don't
interesting
try this at
stuff.
home. So, do you want to grab a pad and we can continue to talk? And there you go, he's ready.
Right here.
So, I'll let you sketch, and I'll keep the conversation going to the degree that I
Yeah.
can. That's perfect.
All right.
How long? So, if someone contacts you, because I know you do things, on request, you do things almost basically made to order comics at times.
Yeah.
How long does it take you to come up with an idea and see it through to start to finish?
The writing part is the hardest part. The drawing part comes fairly easy. I mean, I can, draw all day. But the writing part, it's hard to know when an idea is going to hit you. The trick is, and I found it, is not waiting for it to hit.
Hmm.
You have to constantly be, boy, it's not glamorous. It's a lot of sitting around and staring out the window and just like going blank and just like being in your head and waiting for something to combine or something funny or you're always listening for something on the radio or looking for something in the newspaper, and your radar is always up and you're sort of waiting for something. So the writing, you're sort of always writing.
Hmm.
But the writing is the hardest part for me. The art is sort of like the cherry on top. Once you have a good idea, then like you can't wait to draw that idea.
Right. And the fellow that you're drawing, I was going to ask you, do you find that there are characters that recur for you, or are you drawing a different character all the time, or after so many comics, are there recurring folks?
I have sort of a stable of characters. I don't have any set characters. I don't have guys with names.
Right.
Like, well, I'm going to draw a Bob or a Lucy here. I don't have that, but here, I have the squiggle hair guy.
Oh, that
I
guy.
don't know what his name is. Yep. I have the bald head guy. I have, let's see, there's stringy hair lady. There's, there's also like poofy hair lady. Let's see, I'll draw her.
Oh, my mother-in-law.
Can you still see? Okay. There's there's this lady. I only have a couple of women that I can draw.
Uh-huh.
There's this one. She sort of has that hair.
Right. Okay.
Or if you want to make her appear older, you can always do where you do the more grandma sort of hair.
Oh, I thought those were saggy breasts in the front. I'm sorry. When you said to make her appear older,
Moving on.
I thought maybe the chest sags and.
No,
Sorry.
I don't really have a I don't really have a stable set of characters like that have names or personalities, but I do have a standard cast that I sort of work with.
Okay.
There's 5 or 6 of them, and the same thing goes for dogs. There's like 2 basic or 3 basic dogs or cats that I draw.
Mark, I hate to interrupt. I'm told that the internet standards has just tossed our show from the air, so we'll keep talking, but no one will ever see this. No, go ahead. Apparently, some remark about saggy breasts on old women. It's just.
Well, thank you, internet, for everything. It's lovely being with you.
Yeah. Oh man. And so Sorry. And so
That's okay.
let's say that you have a client who wants a particular type of strip. Now, I know when I get hired to do an article or something, there's a lot of back and forth.
Yes.
We want this. We don't want you to refer to the. Does the same thing happen when you do a comics on demand?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
I do a lot of custom comic work for all sorts of different people. I do a comic strip for a guy who is like a business speaker, like a motivational speaker,
Oh.
and I do a comic strip for him a couple of times a year. Everyone thinks they know what they want, and like, here's what we need it to be, this, and usually it's a very basic joke. It's sort of like your starter joke. And I think what my job is just to say, okay, that's a good place to start. Let's take this here. Let's leave this out. Let's put this in. You don't want to necessarily go for the easiest joke possible, and you sort of need to guide them to a good cartoon.
So you
I
know,
think that's part of the job.
so you know going in that you're going to commit so many hours to this because there's going to be the give and take, and it's not just you dictating to them. Here you go. Here's a, you know.
No, no. There's a lot of give and take. There's a lot of going back and forth, especially in the writing. Once you hit sketching or final art, generally they're okay because they can't do that. They
Right.
can't do the drawing part of it. Um, but the writing part, everyone wants a hand in. They think oftentimes you'll have whole committees of people that want to, well, we can do this, but we can't do this, or we can do this, but we can't do that. Um, so the writing is the trickiest part with custom work.
Mm-hmm.
What I generally do is try to give them 3 or 4 different ideas to go with, and then they'll pick from there, and then we can go back and forth and come up with something that everybody's happy with, and that's where I'm really trying to guide them to the best possible joke. I want them to have what they want and what they think they can use, but I want them to have the best possible version of that as
Okay.
a cartoon.
All right. Mark,
My
I'm gonna
dog.
I'm gonna interrupt you for just a second because I just got a flash on my screen that said your startup disk is almost full. So I need to empty my trash, and then I will edit this together. Hold on.
That's fine.
Hold on one sec.
That's fine.
Um, it- yes, please empty my trash if you can. Did it empty? Okay, so we're good to proceed. This
Okay, great.
just so you know, the company that produces the software that I use to record the shows updated last week, and they did a marvelous job. The only problem is that instead of recording these at 1 gig per interview, it's now requiring 30 gigs, and I can't. The software won't allow me to. The app won't allow me to reset it when I start recording. So I have to deal with it after the fact. I know that's something they're going to have to figure out. But
What are
so
you using? Is it Screen Snaps? It sounds familiar.
yeah, it's Snaps Pro.
Yeah. I thought I recognized that.
Yeah.
I heard the little sounds, and I was like, I know that.
Yeah, it's a great.
I've heard that.
You're the only person I've ever met who's ever actually heard of it. But it's a great program.
I love Snaps Pro. I've used it for doing some video stuff and screenshots. I mean, it's fantastic for. Yeah, I use it all the time.
I have my desktop computer, which is 4 or 5 years old now, is pretty damn full. I mean, it's got like average is usually 45 to 50 gigs available, which is really below what it should. And then when one of these eats up 30 or 40 gigs, it gives me the message saying, your disk is full, and I'm just like, I'm paddling as fast as I can here. So
Yeah.
my wife just sent me a note that I actually went to the Apple Store a week ago to see about getting a new computer, and
Okay.
they're not even selling iMacs right now because they've sold out
They
of
have
the old
new
ones.
really good ones.
Yeah. So
Right.
she just sent me a note this morning that Apple announced that they're on sale in December, and
Oh,
so and that doesn't even work for me because I had this is way too much information, but and this will not be in the show, but I have a daughter who's a junior, and we had a college conference yesterday, and it was explained to us that the financial aid folks will be making their determination on our she graduates in spring 2014. So everything that we do in 2013 has to be with an eye to that's the year of the 12 months that the financial aid folks at the national organization where they do that will be making a determination of our income.
Okay.
So she said, make as little as you can next year and spend as much as you can.
Oh, okay.
So I said to my wife this morning, based on the advice we got yesterday, I'm going to buy the computer on January 1st.
Yeah.
So
That makes total sense. I've done that before.
Yeah.
Where waited until like, I think I bought a computer on January 2nd.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna postpone paying some bills too until the 1st of January.
Makes sense.
It's
you have to think. You don't envision thinking of that, or like that doesn't end up like, well, I'll just do this and this will be. But there's so many other things that you have to think of.
Yeah, and strangely, I mean, this was a good year for me, and I was planning on paying as many bills as I could between now and the end of the year to lower. But next year it's more important. So okay, I pay a little more tax this year and a little less. Anyway, okay.
So, I'm totally with you.
All right, so let's come back. We got the sketching, and so as we'll go through now, we'll do a second segment, and we'll talk about the archive and the cartooning and the subscriptions, and we'll do that.
But
if you could, let me see, if you could turn your seat just a little to your left. There you go.
okay, sure.
You're back centered in the screen now.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
No. For the demonstration, you needed to turn, but okay. Let's see. Mark, you're a married guy. You've got kids. How does cartooning and working from home work with your familial responsibilities?
You know what? That was one of the reasons I could sort of become a cartoonist. Was we were having our first child, and my wife and I had always wanted one of us to stay home, and we had just always assumed it was going to be my wife. Mm-hmm. But we were at dinner at my wife's folks, and we were talking about the kid. My son was coming.
The kid.
And I'm sorry.
The kid.
The kid, the boy. I call him the boy. The boy was on the way, and we were talking something about staying home and how we were going to juggle things, and I was working and cartooning at the same time, and my mother-in-law said something offhanded about like, well, Mark could always stay home and take care of the kids, and then he could continue to cartoon, or you could go from there. And it was one of those things. We were driving home in the truck, and I was like, what do you think of that? And my wife's like, that could kind of work. And I was like, do you think so? We hadn't entertained that possibility. So after some discussion, we decided that that's what we would do. I could stay home and take care of the kids and cartoon at the same time. It was perfect. She likes her job. I hated my job. So this was like, wow, this was unbelievable. So my youngest, my daughter, just entered first grade this year. So it's been 9 years that I've had somebody at home with me during the day while I cartoon, and that has its own pluses and minuses. But I mean, it's been fantastic to be able to stay at home, raise the kids, and draw funny pictures like during the day. That's not bad. I'll take that. You
haven't switched to drawing dirty pictures during the day. You're still drawing just funny pictures, huh?
Yeah, the dirty pictures are at night.
Yeah, okay. Oh, honey, come see what I've drawn.
That's when I can work the blue.
Yeah. You know what the next great stage is, and this is what I'm heading to. In January, my kid will be able to drive herself to school, and I won't even have to get up in the morning some days. Yeah, I'm telling you.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I've been waiting years for this moment, man. I'm telling you, I can go back to staying up till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning and working as late as I need to. Kids on her own.
Wow. That's, you know what? When they could like open and close the car doors themselves.
That was a big deal, right?
That's a huge deal.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to like open the car door, put them in, buckle them in, do the whole thing. Oh.
Yeah. The only downside is that it means I'm 16 years older now than I was when I started this, and well, anyway, enough about me. Let's talk about you. Um, so along the way, you've been doing the cartoons. You started andertoons.com as the website, and
Yes,
on the site, people can see an archive of your work.
yep,
Individual folks like myself, we can subscribe to a regular email. We can get email cartoons, and then
right.
there's this business that you've created from the website, and maybe you want to. This would be a good time to talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, when I started, it was all selling to magazines. And I had sort of hit the very tail end of that. When I started, you could still mail things out to a lot of magazines and make a living that way. And it was kind of dumb luck. And I've always liked computers, but I thought, boy, I should probably do one of these website things, and maybe I could sell cartoons like that. So I talked my wife into getting like the cheapest possible computer we could find, and I built the first website. It was terrible, but it was a way to start selling to people other than major publishers. And I had seen other guys do this where they could sell for small businesses for newsletters, PowerPoints, presentations, all sorts of things, and so that was the idea, was to add to my publishing income. Well, after a couple of years, it totally replaced my publishing income, and everything
Mm-hmm.
was coming through the website,
Mm-hmm.
and people were buying them for presentations, newsletters, and in the past, I don't know, couple of years, I think I've only sent out to a couple of magazines, like 3 or 4 times maybe, and now it's all from the website. People can go on there and buy, one or two cartoons, or some people buy, a cartoon every month for their company newsletter. Some people have a presentation they want to give, and maybe they're nervous or they're not funny, and they need something to pep up the presentation. That it's great for that. And I've just recently launched subscriptions where people who do a lot of, say, online media, Twitter, Facebook, Google Plus, Pinterest, blogs, Tumblr, and all of that stuff, they need a lot of content, and especially now they need a lot of visual content, and cartoons are a perfect fit for that. So I just, in the past few months, launched a subscription service where there are two plans. There's one at $20 a month and one at $75. The $20 is aimed at people who are working mostly online. So if you've got a blog, if you need things to put up on Pinterest, on Facebook, this is perfect for you. If you need also things that you can print, if you need high quality, like 300 DPI print ready cartoons, the $75 one gives you those too. So if you're using a lot of images, or you want to use a lot of images, this is the way to go. I've only had it up running now for, I think it's under a month, and already we're over 30 subscribers. I didn't check this morning yet.
Wow.
So we're hitting about one person a day signing up, and so far everybody's really pleased with it. I'm pleased with it. It's fantastic. It's a great way to do business, and they can download as many cartoons as they want. You can still on the website buy one or two cartoons at a time, or if you want to sign up for the monthly thing, you can have access to the entire. I don't know how many thousands of cartoons are up there now, but you can have access to all of them anytime that you want.
So you basically monetized an archive of comics that you've already created,
Yes,
and people can go to that and they can cherry pick and look and find whatever works for them. Is that the idea?
exactly. If you need a cartoon about sales or business or marketing or the economy,
Hmm.
or if you need something about raising the kids, or funny stuff that your husband does or your wife does, or whatever genre you have, there's a good chance that I've got it. I think last time I looked, I think I had 3 different cartoons on photosynthesis,
Wow, you're getting specific there.
which is a tiny market.
Yeah.
But anyone who's in the photosynthesis industry, if you need a cartoon, I'm your guy.
So I'm just thinking because you mentioned photosynthesis, a school could subscribe, and then
Absolutely.
teachers could access it to use for their students for presentations and things like that.
Sure. And actually, a lot of the people that have recently subscribed, I've done a lot of teacher cartoons recently because I had
Teachers are always
uh,
funny.
teachers are always, my wife's a teacher, so I have this wealth of material. It's fantastic. Um, but a lot of the stuff I'm seeing right now, because I have so many education cartoons and cartoons about teaching, I'm seeing a lot of school districts signing up so that they can put a cartoon in their monthly newsletter or up on their website, and and give people something else, to look forward to.
Very cool. Well, so and then of course you're still doing custom comics where people can hire you for a specific thing.
Yep, I still do a lot of custom cartoons. In fact, I've got one that I'm doing. As soon as we're done with this interview, I've got to crank one out,
All right.
and then I've got to do a couple of more cartoons today just for inventory on the site. So it's a constant balancing act of custom cartoons for inventory, all sorts of stuff. It's a lot to. You always have a couple of different balls in the air, and it's exciting. It's fun.
That's the life of the freelancer. I mean, I've talked to a number of friends in the last couple of years who, I mean, I've almost always worked for myself. Always been working on 5 or 6 projects at once for different people, so I've had friends that were lifetime journalists who've worked at a newspaper or magazine all their lives, and then suddenly that evaporates and they don't know what to do with themselves. And
Right.
I just say, listen, you just need to think a little broader. That's why I have a lot of respect for what you do, and that you've been open to. You have a certain skill set, and it can be applied in a lot of ways, and you've followed that, I think, and I think that's pretty admirable.
It's the life of a freelancer is both scary, it's terrifying, it's frustrating, but every win that you get is yours. So every time you sell something, that's because you did it. And that's the best feeling. That's the greatest feeling, to know that you did that. You created this thing and you put it out in the world and told people about it, and somebody liked it and wanted it, and then you can make money off of that. That's gravy. That's fantastic.
Very cool. Well, folks, listen. There's 2 ways that you can access Andertoons.com. That's Mark Anderson's website with the comics. You can go to Andertoons.com and you can sign up for his email, and you can get comics just sent for your own use, personal entertainment. That's free. Or you can sign up for either if you're a business and you have a business use, you can sign up for either the $20 or the $75 subscription model right there at his site. It's ANDERTOONS.com.
Right.
Or look up Mark Anderson, cartoonist. You'll probably find him that way. If you can't remember Andertoons, and you're not looking right here under the screen under the man's image where it says Andertoons.com. That's right. Mark, are you on Twitter or Facebook as well?
I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook too. Facebook I'm not on as often, but if you just look up Andertoons and you look on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Google Plus, any of those stuff, I'm under almost anything under Andertoons.
Okay, very good. Well, Mark Anderson, it was a pleasure to get to meet you. We've corresponded a few times over the years, and delighted to have you on here. And I wish you a lot of luck with this new model.
Well, thank you very much. This was fun.
Glad you enjoyed it.
It was a great time. Thank you for having me. I'm a big fan of the show, and I hope it turns out okay. I hope I don't look awful.
Well, we have been thrown off the internet, so it doesn't leave us a lot of options now.
Darn it,
Mark. Good
Very
luck.
true.
Well, and thank you very much for being a guest on the show today.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
You can see and hear almost 1,000 Mr. Media interviews by visiting our main site, mrmedia.com, mrmedia.com. Or check out the more than 200 video interviews on the Mr. Media radio site on YouTube. And I'd sure appreciate if you'd show some love for Mr. Media's advertisers, including Stitcher. Apple named Stitcher a top 5 news app of 2011. It's a free mobile app for your smartphone or tablet that lets you listen to your favorite shows and discover the best of news, entertainment, and sports on demand. You can listen whenever you want to more than 5,000 shows, get customized recommendations, and discover what your friends are listening to. My own list of Stitcher favorites is pretty eclectic. I start my day with an hour of MSNBC's Morning Joe with Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski. Then it's the latest 2-minute update from the Onion News Network. After that, I'll listen to WTF with Mark Maron, Here's the Thing with Alec Baldwin, HBO's Real Time with Bill Maher, and excerpts from E's Chelsea Lately and The Soup with Joel McHale. Also in regular rotation on my Stitcher playlist, the BS Report with ESPN's Bill Simmons, the TechCrunch headlines, and the Don Geronimo Show. The latest episodes of each show, whether originating from broadcasts, cable TV, radio syndication, or podcasts, are continuously updated. Stitcher is a free app for your iPhone, iPad, Kindle, Fire, BlackBerry, Droid, and more. And show your support of Mr. Media by getting, did I mention it's free? The app at Stitcher.com/Mr. Media. That's Stitcher.com/MR Media. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio. We're also supported by Audible. Check out Audible's 30-day trial membership and download the audiobook version of the book everyone's been talking about, 50 Shades of Grey by E.L. James. Sign up for your free trial today at audible.com/radio. Again, audibletrial.com/radio. And finally, if you need a disc jockey for a wedding, bar mitzvah, corporate event, or just a big old party, please consider calling 1-800-DIAL-DJs, the party authority for all your party entertainment needs. You can call 1-800-DIAL-DJs or go to their website, 1-800-DIAL-DJs.com, and tell them Mr. Media sent you. And thanks for listening.